There are those days when everything seems wrong. Every little attempt at self-help seems hopelessly ineffective. You struggle through, doing your best to reach higher in this moment of conflict. But nothing seems to work because you've forgotten one thing: to make a cut, a drastic break to get you out of the situation. In the end, by trying to change from within, you may end up pulling yourself even further into the spiral. When you feel this sudden tension caused by the overlap of tearing feelings, it may be best to distance yourself from the situation and gain new senses by removing yourself, rather than becoming more involved. This is your balance in moments of imbalance. You'll find it there, rather where you're stuck. This cut that you're daring sometimes has to be looked at in layers, or it won't work out in the long run. It's not always enough to look for one solution. Sometimes it may be enough to do one small thing to tweak things for the better. Other times it may not be sufficient for you to have a sense of change. You need to know or learn what you want with your solution orientation, with the approach that you dare to initiate the change with, and how powerful it represents itself through these helping layers of yours in this present moment. Because if it's not significant enough, you will likely stay in this madness for even longer. There is one great importance to consider while cutting this particular situation, and that is holding on to what has helped you cut it successfully in previous times. You have to try things. Only by trying you can solve your problem. If you don't, you won't find the solution. So hold on to what helped you after you've approached a certain section, the part where you found a solution in a tough situation. Write it down, draw it out, speak it out, record the moment as an audio file and put it somewhere where you cannot miss it ever again. You'll need to remember what you have already experienced and how you got out of it. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to return to a progressive learning process unless you are very clear about your present perception and the solution, where you realize that you finally lifted that burden from your shoulders. When that feeling of relief comes, it will seem very clear to you that you have crossed the hurdle. So you could even take the path of increased confidence in yourself and climb the slope without a rope. Just keep in mind that if you fall, you will have to accept the unsecured outcome of not holding on to these feelings. These moments can be anchor points for you to hold on to. The more rock that surrounds the anchor, the safer you are from the vortex that sucks you in. And if that's not enough, try to find another metaphorical safety checkpoint. And if that's not enough, look for another. Even if you only notice small progress, it may be enough to hold on to next time. You just need to know, or get to know what holds you back in what situation, and understand what brings you onto your path of progress, balance, and peace in those moments. Holding on to sections that you've dared to overcome successfully is one of the greatest and most helpful ways to see beyond narrow and personally humiliating, debilitating energies. Considering which of the previously presented ways of holding on to your solutions is the one side. The other is whether your view of that particular situation is helping you in the first place. Because when the day comes where you have to face this humiliation, with full exposure, you may not be able to really overcome yourself to the fullest extent to speak, write, or power yourself out of this hell on earth. If this is the case, the previous steps don't change much either, because expressing this very feeling comes with the release of overcoming the loops of thought. By freeing your thoughts into words, you're able to immediately gain helpful insights as you pull them out of your mind's box, just as the objects you might pull out of a package become visible in greater detail when unpacked. So too are your feelings when you revisit them at another time. This can help you work through them. As you hold on to your thoughts and feelings by expressing them, you can reflect on what you've captured, expand on them as you're able to remember them, or add background information and insights. As before, this also serves as an anchor point. You just have to make sure that you know where you're dropping the anchor, so it gets grounded securely. Because even the process of retrieving the anchor can be extremely stressful if you're haunted by doubts about your ability or your belief that this implementation will do any good at all. But sometimes when it's stormy out there and the water seems murky, even then you have to dare to throw it out, or at least make your best to stick it in some rock in the ground, because the fact of being sucked in will do the most harm anyway. You don't want to get sucked into the vortex, do you? So go ahead, get it out of you.
Thank you so much for watching. If you found any of this to be helpful, feel free to share it. See you next time.